the worst part time of the year because it's summer and there's no new books coming out. So, yeah, we're going to read Not So Normal Norbert by James Patterson and Joey Green. Prologue. I pledge subservience to the loving leader of the United States of Earth, and to the ground on which he stands, one planet under surveillance, invincible, with conformity and security for all. We're all standing at attention, holding up two fingers to make the letter V, and saying a bunch of meaningless words to the truth screen at the front of our classroom. We do this every morning. It's ridiculous, if you ask me, but I keep my mouth shut. Well, not when I'm saying the pledge. You can't complain about saying the pledge. If you do, the truth police burst in and arrest you, and that's not something you really want, unless you're crazy, which I'm definitely not. I'm in 7th grade at middle school number 1022 in Regent 154. Our school is painted gray. The sky is gray. The clouds are gray. My classmates and I all wear the same exact gray jumpsuits and the same gray expressions on our faces. I guess you could say we're all color coordinated. Our gray jumpsuits aren't school uniforms or anything. Everyone on Earth wears them to make us all equal. Even his all-knowing, eternal excellency, loving leader wears a gray jumpsuit. He's on the truth screen right now. He's very serious. His white hair is pretty wild. His eyes are really intense, fierce, penetrating. He's not exactly the kind of guy you'd want to run into in a dark alley. After saying the pledge, we all sit down at our school desks in unison, just like we do every morning. It's time to listen to loving leader's daily declaration of dependence. Thrilling. My fellow earthlings, says loving leader, conformity makes us free to conform, because we all know different is dangerous, different is diabolical, different is a disease. Yes, a disease detrimental to our way of life, a disease that destroys the equality we fought so hard to win. And what causes this horrible disease? The evils of individuality, the wicked spark of imagination, the foul stench of creativity. Shoot for the moon, my friends, and what happens? You explode into a deadly fireball and get burned into a crypt. Individuality is illness. Imagination is insanity. Creativity is crazy. Originality threatens our way of life. He goes on and on, blah, 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 blah. Naturally, my mind wanders, and I look out the window all at those gray clouds and the gray sky and start thinking back to when I was a little kid. I remember my father playing catch with me and my mother singing a lullaby before tucking me into bed and kissing me a good night. You there, shouts loving leader. You, staring out the window. I nearly jump out of my skin. I turn my head from the window and look at the truth screen, giving loving leader my undivided attention. You're not daydreaming, are you? Asks the loving leader, pointing his finger directly at yours truly. Me? I stammer. Yes, you, Norbert Riddle, person number L4LUZR1. No, your all-knowing eternal excellency. I would never dream of daydreaming. Good, he says, because daydreaming is one of the 3 deadly warning signs of imagination. And we all know imagination is what? Insanity, shouts everyone in my class, including me. Loving leader smiles widely, in a creepy sort of way. To remain free, we all must conform. We must stamp out all our uniqueness for the greater good. He says, remember, loving leader sees all, knows all, and loves all. He holds up fingers to make the letter V. The truth screen goes black. Our teacher, mean old Mrs. Holbert, tells us that she's visiting the lavatory, which is a fancy way of saying she needs to use the bathroom. I expect you all to be on your best behavior while I'm gone, so no one gets arrested by the truth police and mysteriously disappears, not to be heard from again. Like Norbert's parents. All my classmates gasp. I can't believe Mrs. Hurlbutt just said that. She's a horrible teacher and a horrible person. Yeah, the truth police took away my parents when I was a little kid, but that's none of her business. I'm the one who lost my mother and father. I'm the one forced to grow up without the 2 most important people in my life. I'm the one stuck with living with my boring aunt and uncle. Now I'm steaming mad at Mrs. Holbutt, at the loving leader, at the stupid school, at everything. Enough is enough. I'll show them. The minute that nasty old biddy steps out of the hallway, I rise to my feet, walk to the front of the classroom, and sit on top of Mrs. Hurlbutt's class. Everyone in the class stares at me. Then I mess up my mop of dark hair to look like loving leader. My fellow Earthlings, I say, doing my best impression, conformity is the freedom to wear great jumpsuits like everyone else, the freedom to think like everyone else, the freedom to agree with everything I say, the freedom to be sheep. Bah, bah, bah. Everyone stares at me in complete shock. They can't believe I'm actually making fun of loving leader. No one says anything. They're too scared of even to crack a smile. Until a kid named Drew Weaver bursts out laughing. Then everyone starts chuckling too, nervously at first, then hysterically, giving me the green light to keep going. Suddenly, I'm on a roll. As your all-knowing eternal excellency, I say this: my planet, my rules. The world belongs to me. The earth, the moon, the planets, the stars, they're mine, all mine. Fear me, obey me, love me, and together we'll make the world safe for mediocrity. Like I always say, creativity stinks, imagination stinks, originality stinks. Remember, loving leader smelled it, because loving leader dealt it. I hold up 2 fingers and make the letter L for loser. Why be yourself when you can be like everyone else? Belong or be wrong. Laughter fills the room. Drew applauds and the other kids join in, smiling widely. I feel like I'm on top of the world, even though I'm only on top of Mrs. Hurlbut's desk. Suddenly, flashing red lights drop from the ceiling and start whirling. Everyone goes completely silent. They immediately sit up at attention, fold their arms on their desk, and stare straight ahead. What's going on, I ask. Is this some sort of fire drill? I look to Drew. He shrugs. He doesn't know either. Sirens start screaming. The truth police burst through the door, pointing these big laser guns at me. They surround me. Without warning, Loving Leader appears at the truth screen and points his finger at me. Loving Leader sees all, knows all, and loves all. You're under arrest, says the truth police, for being different. They slap handcuffs on my wrists and drag me from the room. Was it something I said? Part 1. Chapter 1. The truth police take me to a great building, where they hold me tight by both arms and usher me down a long arched corridor filled with cobwebs. The dirty stone walls are lined on both sides with thick steel prison doors. A rat scurries along a pipe hanging from the ceiling. The thought of being thrown into the slammer and left to rot really gives me the creeps. And I'm not nervous. I'm just too terrified to be nervous. Finally, the truth police stop. One officer punches a bunch of numbers into a keypad. The door to a cell pops open. They throw me inside without taking off my handcuffs and slam the door shut. Bam! Something tells me this can't be good. My prison cell, cold, tiny, and gloomy. It almost reminds me of home. Home is 526 Drury Lane, a dreary little house with my dreary Aunt Martha and dreary Uncle Hank. They're really not that bad. I'm just kidding around. I love Aunt Martha and Uncle Hank like crazy. But just goes to show, maybe I really am crazy. But they're definitely 2 of the dullest people I've ever met. And believe me, I've met a lot of dull people. Mostly at middle school number 1022. Aunt Martha works at an inventory clerk at the thumbtack warehouse. Incredibly boring if you ask me. But Aunt Martha can't stop talking about the day they had a big spill in aisle 70. Uncle Hank has a job washing a machine on an assembly line, insert cotton into aspirin bottles. He sits there making sure the proper amount of cotton goes into each bottle. He loves this excitement. At home, Aunt Martha and Uncle Hank spend all their time watching shows on the truth screen. There's only one channel, which makes it a lot easier to watch the same shows everyone else watches. Also, having just one channel means we'll never fight over which show we're going to watch. So I suppose that helps create family harmony. The truth screen, as you may have guessed, is a 2-way screen. We watch it, and it watches us. So Loving Leader can keep us safe from ourselves. Like he says, you're your own worst enemy, and based on the fact I'm sitting on a cold, dank prison cell, I guess Loving Leader was definitely right about that. You're probably wondering why I live with my aunt and uncle, especially since they're so boring and dull. What happened to my parents? That's a long story. I really don't want to get into the details, but I was 5 years old when my parents disappeared. I've been trying to find them for the last 7 years, with no luck whatsoever. Aunt Martha and Uncle Hank are no help either. They're too scared of Loving Leader to even talk about my parents. They don't want to end up in a prison cell like this one. The walls have ears, Aunt Martha likes to say, and then Uncle Hank points out the truth screen. I too, he says. I desperately want to track down my mother and father. I miss them something awful. I'm determined to find them. Of course, there's no way I can look for them if I'm stuck inside a prison cell. I guess I should have thought about that before I climbed up on Mrs. Hurlbut's desk. I never expected she'd get arrested for doing my impression of loving leader. When Mrs. Hurlbut left the classroom, I figured the coast was clear. Too bad I forgot about the truth screen. I mean, sure, loving leader constantly says he sees all, knows all, and loves all, but I didn't really think he'd have his eyes on our classes. Besides, if a loving leader really does love all, you'd think that would include a good laugh once in a while. Obviously, this guy can't take a joke. Stupid me. I spent the next few hours sitting on a cold floor of my cell, worrying about what's going to happen to me. Will I disappear like my parents did, never to be heard again? How do I get out of here? I wonder how long I'll be left alone in this cell. 3 hours? 3 years? Forever? Or just until the end of time? Now I fear for my life. I feel like I've been sitting in this cell for an eternity. Not that I know what an eternity feels like. I wonder if they have room service in here.